So in this video, I'm going to talk about forms within Dynamics 365 for sales and why that can be quite an important feature for some users of the system. Now, it may not be obvious what forms are, so let's dive into the system. I'll show you what I mean. Now, I'm in opportunities area, but it applies to all records within the system. Now, effectively what you're seeing here, I'm in an individual opportunity record, and you can see various things on the screen. You can see the fields that I've got available to me. You can see the various tabs across the top with the data capture within those. And these effectively, this is a form. What it's doing is it's pointing at a database within the system or a table within a database, specifically the opportunity table. Now that table may have hundreds of fields. Many of them we don't use, and we don't necessarily want to surface those to users. So a form is a surfacing of the underlying table to a particular user or particular team of users. Now let's talk about a hypothetical example. We've got an organization with two different sales teams. One sells big projects, big systems, and it might be a long-term sale, might span multiple years. And in that sort of situation, we might want to track all sorts of detailed data to help support that sales process. On the other hand, we might have a sales system as a sales team that sell a much simpler product that's sold in a matter of weeks or months. And the data capture we might require on that might be a lot simpler. We might want the same core information. We might want to understand the value of the opportunity, which stage it's reached, the estimated close date, the probability of it happening, all that sort of information. But actually the data capture outside of that might be quite different for the two teams. Now, conceptually, we could put that onto one form and say to team A, you need to update these fields, and say to team B, you need to update these fields. But that's quite confusing, and that has quite a lot of overhead associated with it. So what we can do within Dynamics, and is a feature that's not available in a lot of other CRM systems, but within Dynamics you can have different forms. So at the moment on this opportunity record, I'm in an opportunity form. You can see there's a little drop down menu to the right of it. If I click on that, that tells me the different forms, the different views of the underlying table that are available to me. And if I go to one here called lead qualification opportunity form, it changes. Now these are out of the box forms, but we can change forms. We can create our own forms in the background. When I say we, this is a administrator task or something that your implementation partner might do, but they're quick and easy to set up. So you can see here our lead qualification opportunity form is very different from the form we showed originally, which is the opportunity form. They're quite distinct, but they might suit different teams. I'll just go on to the benefits of doing this in a second, but just one thing to say: if you are using Dynamics, you want to get a bit more out of it, and you want some guidance on best next steps, then feel very free to reach out. I've put some links in the description below. Always happy to have a chat with people about their particular circumstances. Anyway, in terms of this feature, what are the benefits of it? I think if you can have forms tailored to different needs, then it makes the adoption of the system a lot easier. There's less of a training overhead. People don't get confused. I think your data quality will increase. And if you've got things like sensitive data in the system, it makes it easier to hide that. So I think there's a lot of reasons for doing it. I think it can potentially help streamline the process. Anything you can do to remove fields that people don't need to be updating just helps people's adoption of the system. In terms of potential use case, as I said earlier, different sales teams might have different requirements, different roles might have different requirements. So, something like a leads qualification person might have a different set of requirements from, an account manager, a person that's working on the pre-sales team or technical team. They might need to update different information. A sales manager might want to have a different set of fields in there from a sales team member, maybe sort of track, their sort of coaching notes or their view on the likelihood of an opportunity closing as opposed to the salesperson's. So there's potentially quite a lot of use cases on that. And I'll say it's a feature I don't think people are generally aware of, and it is something that can be particularly useful. Now, you can get carried away with it, that's for sure. You do get situations where people start creating forms for individual users or small teams, and if you're not careful, that can create quite a big maintenance overhead, because you've got lots of forms you're now trying to keep up to date. And if you ever get to a situation where you're making a change and you've got to reflect that change in 10, 20, 30 different forms, then that can become quite a overhead that you might not want. So you've got to use this quite judiciously, but I'd say it's quite a powerful feature. Anyway, hopefully that gives some insight as to why to have multiple forms is quite an important concept within Dynamics 365 for sales. I say, if you want any help with Dynamics, then feel free to reach out. So if you've got suggested content ideas, we've got quite a number of Dynamics 365 for sales videos on the channel, so feel free to check those out. But thanks very much for your time today, and hopefully see you again soon.